Okay, now that you've got your draw front, the next thing you want to do is go ahead and start to draw your sides. So we're just going to hide the draw front here by clicking on our eye icon. Come up the top, select front, sketch, and just square up our frame here by double clicking on our cube. We're going to start with a corner rectangle, and we're going to make that left click and drag 190, enter, by 72, enter. Then I want to select my line and construction tools, L for line, Q for construction. Come down to the bottom corner here, left click once, come across, left click 19, enter, and then come up to the top, left click, enter, and escape. Now there's one more construction line that I want to put in over here. I'm just going to left click and drag that dimension out of my way, and the same with this one. L for line, Q for construction, left click once, come across, left click again, 12, enter, and escape. Okay. L for line, start down on this construction point here, and just like we did on the draw front, I'm just going to left click once, come up, making sure that I'm perpendicular, left click 8mm. Now come across to the side here, again making sure that we're perpendicular. That should snap to 19mm. We're just going to snake our way all the way up to the top, going up 8mm at a time. And escape. Okay, we're now going to grab our trim tool, M for trim. We're just going to start to remove some of this geometry here. So just left clicking on these lines here, and we now have our opposite fingers to our draw front. Come up to our extrude. Okay, and we're going to extrude this 12mm. Tick. And we now have our fingers for our sides. Now we need to put in a housing at the back here for the back of our draw, as well as our housing for our draw base. So the first thing we're going to do is left click sketch, click on the face of our draw here, square that up, L for line, Q for construction, left click once, come across, 12mm, enter, G for corner rectangle, left click on my construction point. Okay, you can see this is still creating a construction line, so I'm just going to press Q, and it should change it to a solid line as it did. Come up to the top here. Okay, we're going to change this to 12, and that's going to stay at 72. Escape. Okay, I'm going to click on that rectangle I've just drawn now, and I'm going to create a 6mm deep housing. So left click on extrude, six, and solve it. Now again, because we didn't do remove, it's on add, it's added the material. So I just come back into my extrude here, double click, and remove the material. Now left click on our arrows here because we want to go the other way, and we now have our housing. There is one more step we need to do for our draw side, and that is to put in the housing for the base. So again, left click sketch, click on the face here, L for line, Q for construction. Start in this bottom corner, left click once, come up, left click again, 3, hit enter. Okay, escape, G for corner rectangle, clicking on our construction point, left click once, come across all the way to the edge here, and left click. We're going to make that 171, enter. Okay, we've got the conflicting geometry, but that's okay. And 3mm, enter, and escape. Clicking on this geometry here, left click once, delete, and select our rectangle. Don't forget to come over and select this part here, extrude, and we will make that 3mm deep. Okay, again, remembering that we must select remove, otherwise it's going to add the material. So double click on our extrude again, remove, and send it back in the opposite direction. Solve that. Okay, and we now have our housing for our base. Right click, rename, draw side 1. Enter. Okay, now that you have your draw side, instead of having to repeat all those steps for the second side, we're just going to mirror this part, just like we did for the left style and the right style for our side panels. So we're going to come in, left click and drag, select that part, we're going to click on mirror. Okay, it's asking us for the mirror plane, so left click on that red box, scroll up and select the right plane. Okay, now if I zoom out here, okay, it's now mirrored my side. Okay, so I can select that green tick. Okay, and I now have two opposing sides. So I'll just go back down here to part 10, right click, rename, draw side